Guys, we got to stop pretending that like the old Patriots are going to show up. They're gone. And I think Sunday was proof positive of it. And the fact that you're having to press the reset button, and I do expect like some things to be different this week, that you're having to do that in the middle of October is, a red alert. And the thing about it to me, where's the light at the end of the tunnel here?
I don't know that there is one. We've talked about this several times. They have an aging center. They have a first-round pick of a year ago at guard that we don't know is really cut out for the NFL at this point. Still a question mark. Mike Owenu has not had a great year. And a tackle?
And he's in a contract year. And Kyle Duggar's in a contract year.
There are no answers for the future at tackle to make my way to that point.
And that's a position that you have to spend premium capital on.
Right.
Like you have to – most teams that get left tackle right are either spending huge capital to go and trade for one or sign one in free agency, or they're spending a high first-round pick on one. That's how you fix it. And so, like, how many positions do they have now on that roster where you're going to have to spend, like, a high-leverage draft pick to get them fixed? Receiver? Tackle? Judon's not getting any younger. He's going to be coming off of a biceps. Edge rusher. Quarterback. So, like, the idea that, look, if you have like a hole at guard and a hole at linebacker and a hole at, you can probably fix that in one off season. If your holes are at the most important positions on the field, that becomes a multi-year project, fixing that. And so I hate to break it to everybody here, but the old Patriots aren't showing up. And to get to whatever new version of the Patriots is coming down the line might take some time. It just like, You look at it, it goes back to that thing I've said a few times now, which is how many players on the roster do you think will be here 5 years from now? Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah. I don't know that there's any others.
Can you name one other
Duggar?
guy?
Maybe.
Maybe
Duggar.
Maybe. But after that, I don't know. I don't know.
Jonathan Jones?
I don't know who I'd want to make
Jonathan
that
Jones,
bet
how
on.
old though? Isn't he 28, 29,
he's
right?
been injured now.
Yeah. That's a real problem.
Yeah, 5 years is a long time in the NFL.
It is.
That's a
it
big
is.
window
No, but
that you gave.
it is,
Even
but
that,
it
name
is.
freaking one guy
It
on
is, but you can do that with the Dolphins or the Bills or the Jets,
Can
can't
I
you?
do this? Who's going to be here in 3 years? Don't make it 5. Who's here in 3 years?
It's the same answers.
Miles Bryant?
Same answers.
No, probably not.
The next Miles Bryant.
You hope Keon White maybe develops into that, but you don't know, right? You don't know.
No, you don't know. No, you really don't have those answers. So you're right. They don't have cornerstone pieces. They don't have good building blocks. They need talented premium positions. How does that all matter this week as they try and play the Raiders in the here and now?
I think so I've been around bad teams before, and I know like a lot of people here haven't because you're so fortunate to have had the quarter century of success that you have had. What happens with bad teams in these situations is like, how do you create hope? And how do you prevent the players on the team from becoming independent contractors? And you've been on bad NFL teams, though, like at the beginning of your career, right? Like what happens with like bad teams at the end, like those locker rooms become graveyards.
Yeah, I talked about that like last segment we did. Like,
Yeah.
you just got to start worrying about yourself, and you're not concerned with exterior. Like, where do we sit? Where do we stand?
Right.
What's our record? Like, you become so just locked into each game.
Because the dirty secret of the NFL is that 75% of the players in the NFL don't know what team they're going to be on next year. A lot of them don't know if they're going to be in the league next year. So your long-term fortune is not their concern, right?
Right.
You got to give them something to play for. You got to give them something to work for, or they're going to start looking out for themselves. It's the reality of the way contracts work in the NFL.
Yep.
It's the reality of the league. And everybody here has not had to deal with that forever. Like, they've never had to deal with that, right? But that's where you are right now, is if you've got consecutive 30-point losses, the other side of that is, when do you start to lose the team? When do players start to disengage? When do players go out there starting to protect themselves? If you've got guys in contract years like Josh Uche and Kyle Duggar and Mike Onwenu, who you have not rewarded yet, when does it start to become for them just get me to the end of the year healthy so I can make it to free agency?
Right. To get my next contract, to make sure I get paid, and I'm not going to risk my body for a team that's going nowhere.
Right.
Right?
And put yourself in those shoes. Like, a lot of people say, well, that's selfish. Put yourself in those shoes. Like, if you're a player and you know you probably have one shot at getting paid that way, what are you doing? Same freaking thing.
Yeah, you're trying to play your best to continue
You're
to
playing your
maximize
best.
your value,
Right.
but you're not. I know what you're saying. You're
You
not
know,
giving it
there's
your
a difference.
your full effort because
Right.
you're not allowing yourself.
Or if a coach asks you to do the dirty work on a play or whatever it is, like you have to think about there's a calculus that you're probably doing in your head,
Yep.
And that's, I think, where you are right now is how do you create hope? How do you create belief? And this week is so critical because of what's on the other side of this week. Because,
Well, not to mention that it's critical because they just got their ass handed to them for
your
two
top
straight
two
weeks,
division teams
and
sitting there.
they're talking about starting over.
right.
So what happens in a start over that gives anyone a renewed sense of urgency or, motivation, whatever you want to call it?
Right. And that is like, if you can go out and play well against the Raiders, okay. Now you lock back in, big game against Buffalo. If you get blown off the field, you really are, Buffalo's
But can I stop you? Don't they have to win this game for that to happen? They can't just play well and feel like they're going in the right direction.
I think what it is like,
No, you have to win.
You got to win.
You probably have to win. Yeah. There's not if it was the Chiefs, then you could say, okay, just play well. But it's not the Chiefs. You know what I mean? I think you probably have to win.
Playing well against the Raiders, a team that
You got to win this. You could try to talk about that other stuff the next 2 weeks because you're playing against superior competition.
Right. And you're going up against a coaching staff that knows you exceedingly well. Josh McDaniels knows everything about Matt. Like, Josh McDaniels coached Mac Jones for a year. And I've said this a couple places. I said it on the pregame show. Josh was doing for Mac Jones in 2021 what Sean McVay did for Jared Goff, where he was in the headset until like the 15-second cutoff. So he was basically like had his hand on the joystick with Mac Jones. You know what I mean? So he knows the pluses and minuses to his game. He knows what he had to cover up for. And it's just an interesting dynamic. Like, how do you go into this? How do you attack that dynamic if you're the Patriots coaching staff? How do you create hope? How do you find a way to win a ball game? How do you get the team in a position where they're not going into the Buffalo game next week thinking, oh, no, we're going to get our doors blown off? Because I
got another point on this too. Which is
I think
I feel like if they lose,
they should believe that no matter what.
I feel like if they lose this week, like 1-7's coming.